Hi everyone, and welcome to Simcoe County District School Board's Community Connects Spotlight on Skilled Trades, keeping community partners and stakeholders in Simcoe County informed. I'm your host, Jacqueline Odish, Communications Officer, and our guest today is Justin van Diepen, co-op teacher at Barrie North Collegiate Institute. So whether you're a student, parent, teacher, or an employer listening in, today we'll be speaking with Justin about the co-op and OYAP program and the many benefits of exploring a career in skilled trades and tech. Hi, Justin, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So Justin, tell us a little bit about your role.
Yeah, well, I'm essentially a high school teacher. So as you mentioned, I'm a cooperative education teacher at Barrie North Collegiate. And part of my role there is obviously teaching students, working with students, but what makes it unique is that I also work with community partners. So what we work towards is matching students who have interests with a particular field, whether it's skilled trades, teaching, something administrative, whatever that looks like. And we try and find them, the students, an opportunity in the community to build upon their skills.
Can you tell us a little bit about how the co-op program works?
Yeah, so a co-op, or most commonly known as cooperative education, it's a high school course. It's a senior level course, and what we mean by a senior level course is it's a grade 11 and 12 credit for any student that wants to improve upon their skills, experience the workforce, and they can earn credits by demonstrating learning at that business or a community organization. Typically co-op students, we run them through the semester system, right? So semester 1 and semester 2, and they're unpaid. Most of our students are unpaid because they're learners, right? So it's an advantage not only for the student to earn their credits, right? But it's also an advantage for employers. Now, from the perspective of Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, or we call that OYAP because we like our acronyms, right? There's a lot of advantages there for co-op students. So many people might not know that a student who demonstrates their motivation, their skill, and their interest in a particular skilled trade, they can start an apprenticeship as early as grade 11. And we call that a co-op gone well. Most of our co-ops obviously go well, but when we can have a student started as an apprentice, they can still be in high school, that presents tremendous opportunities where the training in the form of what they're learning in hours, right? Every trade typically has a certain amount of prescribed hours that has to be done. The students who start through OYAP or their apprenticeship while they're in high school through the co-op program, those training hours can count towards their trade and help almost fast track them, right, to be a licensed journey person.
What are some of the advantages of starting with OYAP?
Number one advantage is, a student is starting already in high school, right? So they're working towards their high school credits. So that's helping them to earn that ever important diploma that they need. An advantage of starting with the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program is that you get that head start on an apprenticeship. So, a student, like I'd mentioned before, if they're demonstrating that motivation, that skill, that interest, they could start that apprenticeship as long as the employer is willing to sponsor them. And when we mean sponsor, we mean the employer sees value in them as well, right? And they put them through what's called a registered training agreement with the ministry. But again, that time on training, those hours for a certain trade, they can go towards that apprenticeship. It also allows, there's over 140 skilled trades in Ontario. And there are trades that are compulsory, which means that you can't practice that scope of trade, we call it, without a license, right? So, you look at an auto service technician, you look at an electrician or a plumber, you have to be licensed in order to do that trade. One of the benefits of OYAP, and this is actually with the law, is that if a student is interested in high school, OYAP allows them to participate in that trade. So they can legally work with that employer. So that's a tremendous advantage with OYAP from an employer side standpoint, in my opinion, and also from the students. The other side of OYAP is that when a student is an apprentice, they're also like apprenticeship is post-secondary. I think sometimes our minds go towards sometimes college and university and we talk about post-secondary, but apprenticeship is a post-secondary, what we call pathway. And apprenticeship is the only one in high school where you can be a high school student and a post-secondary student at the same time. So that is just awesome for our students and hopefully for our employers. Another advantage that I have seen in speaking with employers, speaking with students, is that OYAP can really help with their recruiting needs. We've all heard in the media, in the news for a long time, that there is a skilled trade shortage, right? And we have a lot of keen kids who are interested in the trades. And I know there's a lot of employers who need help in the trades.
And what are employers looking for? And why should employers consider programs like OYAP or co-op?
In my experience from the teacher side of thing, the co-op teacher side of thing, when I'm working with employers, in terms of what they're looking for, usually pretty easy, simple things. So things like soft skills, right? Is that student keen? Are they driven to learn? So, to break that down further, I think every employer out there wants to know that whoever they're bringing on to train, they're going to show up on time. They're going to follow through with their commitments. Another thing I see a lot is getting along with coworkers. Like, can you get along with staff? That teamwork aspect of things. Maturity, you can demonstrate that you're mature in the workplace. Staying off cell phones. That's a huge thing, right? Yeah. And I think all too often we point the finger at students, but we also have to recognize that is an adult, adult expectation in the workplace as well, right? But other than that, employers, from my experience when I talk to them, they want someone who's really interested. Are they going to come in and ask questions? Are they available for the full work day? The life of the student is, can be, some of the best years of your life. And then a work day is much longer than a school day, right? And so some trades, they want to see you there for the full day. They like to know that, you can handle laboring. It could be moving construction materials to automotive materials, manufacturing. Are you going to follow through with some of those laboring duties and keep a positive attitude? The last thing that I often hear from employers or see is they really want students, if you're able to work towards getting your driver's license, right? It is a big one. And when I was growing up, as soon as I hit 16, that was the first thing I was making sure I was getting. A driver's license is big, and employers in our co-op and OYAP participants, they understand that students don't have the same experience as a licensed journey person, right? But they do expect, like I said, that they have some interest. Employers understand that students coming in, they're not going to have tons of that. But what do you have, right? Well, have you worked on the farm? Have you tinkered with equipment? And sometimes you don't have that, but take your bike apart, put it back together again. Like, are you showing that you've used equipment, or you've played around with it? And if you don't have any of those things, from a student preparation perspective, have you taken a tech course in high school? Technological education can really help you out. Those are some of the things, again, I'm not an employer myself, but those are some of the things in my discussions that employers do look for in candidates.
So Justin, tell me, what are some of the benefits to employers? Why should employers consider this program?
Well, we can help with your recruiting needs. Right? So when we know, you're looking for a certain student for a certain trade, we can't promise it all the time. It's based on what we have for students in terms of interest, right? But we can help with your employer's recruiting needs. From an employer standpoint, once you get a student with you, you can mold them right? You can mold them and train them to how your company has done, your proven process. We recognize that when an employer takes on someone, that the training comes at a cost, and there isn't a tremendous amount of things, but there's a lot of valuable things that we can help provide. Number one is WSIB, right? So when a student is unpaid through the co-op program, we cover the workplace safety insurance. So WSIB is a big one. Every student also has the support of a teacher. So they're checking in on them. They're helping to develop a learning plan with them. What are those outcomes that employers want to see? And we follow up with that. The other thing too is co-op teachers, they know a lot about the trades as well, right? They know about the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. They know the law behind it. They know what's required for compulsory and, voluntary trades. So they can help with that. Sometimes we hear from employers that the average trades person's age is quite older, right? Now, I'm not up to date with all the stats, but at one point it was over 40 years old, to have your licensed journey person's trade, right? And so when you get involved in the co-op and the OEAP program, you can train that student much, much earlier. So then they can get their license earlier, and then hopefully you can also benefit from their work for a much longer time frame. And lastly, employers that are involved in co-op and also our skilled trades, one of the benefits to them is that they enjoy passing on their knowledge. Once they see someone that they see value in, they're engaged in the mentorship out from that side of things as well.
If an employer is interested in participating in the programs, what are the steps? What do they need to do?
Well, come on in and see us, right? So I would say get in touch with your local high school. Stop in at Barrie North, that's where I am there. But ask to speak with the co-op department. What's your name? What's your business? What are you looking for? And we can do our best to help match those needs. If an employer wants to as well, they can get in touch with their local school board. Every school board should have a cooperative education lead, and they can reach out to them about opportunities. And I just want to put in one other plug, is that sometimes we think of trades as well as traditional trades. Our minds gravitate towards those carpenters and plumbers and, auto service technicians and so forth, which are very, very much needed. But there's non-traditional trades out there as well that are equally needed, right? Like some people might not know that an educational assistant is a skilled trade. That is an apprenticeship available out there, a networking cabling specialist, right? There are over 140 skilled trades. If you think you have an opportunity for a student and it may help with, an extra set of hands, get in touch with your local high school.
I want to thank my guest, Justin van Diepen from Barrie North, for joining us today. Stay connected with us by subscribing to Simcoe County District School Board's Community Connects, a bi-monthly newsletter to keep community partners and stakeholders in Simcoe County informed. Visit scdsb.on.ca to subscribe.